acquire the reprint that Renegade just did, and it's a fantastic looking version of that. So let's start here with General Orders. Now, this is a worker placement area control World War II game. Yeah, pretty much alone in the genre. Now, it's interesting because it's meant to play quick, it's meant to play small. It's actually taking up a very small profile right here on the table. But let's take a look at how it plays, what it does. We'll come back up, talk final thoughts. All right, so this is General Orders. Now, it is a worker placement area control game that's played over 4 rounds. Now, essentially what it is, the spaces on the board are places you can put your commanders out there to take an action. So the advance action, let's say I put a worker here. I could then move into this space. Now, the maximum you can have in a single area is 5, but I can move these in here and have 5 people in there. But let's just say I moved into here. Well, now I'm moving in. You can't completely remove all your troops, but this brings us to the next concept called supply. So now supply is the ability to trace a line back through controlled places back to your HQ. So now this space is not only in control, but it's also supplied. Now, why that would matter is things like barrage. You can shoot a big gun, big kind of mortar cannon or whatever it is, into 3 spaces away, but you could not do this if this wasn't in supply. So let's just say we control that space, but we don't have supply. Well, we couldn't use that action. But because we supply and control that, I can put this worker here and then start shooting 1, 2, 3 spaces away, roll 2 dice, and then if we get hits, we remove them. We got 3 hits, so we remove all 3 of those places. Now, conflict is not exactly what you think. When you, let's just say, move into a place with the enemy. So let's say we are here and we choose to advance into here and we move into here. Now, this is a dumb move because the defender will roll 1 dice and remove that many hits, and then we missed there. But then you'll start removing one at a time simultaneously until whatever's left. So you don't actually keep rolling. You're just going to basically numerically math it out, okay? I can't win there if I don't go in there with enough forces to take over. Now, these special spaces on the board, if you control these areas, they're going to give you bonuses, things to your paradrop. Now, paradrop is another action on your HQ here. You can take the paradrop action and you can just drop in some of the units out into the field anywhere except for this space here and the enemy's HQ. Now, they won't be in supply when they do that, but you can at least get out there and then eventually get them into supply. Now, you go back and forth on turns. Now, you're going to be looking to control these victory points, essentially. And at the end of 4 rounds, the person who controls the most victory points wins the game. Or conversely, if you take over the enemy's HQ, you win the game. Now, that's this front side of the map. I'm going to just take this off completely and show you the back side of the map, which is the Pacific Theater. Now, in the Pacific Theater, we start getting airplanes. And you have air zones, which this yellow is connected to these yellow spaces. This kind of orangish color is connected to these. Blue here, red here, and green here. So you have also these airplane units, which can add things like you can bombard, you can bomb from the air onto these spaces. And now since this is connected here, what's here is actually adjacent there and can have things to do with fighting as well. You can also do dog fights and fight in the air. So it changes the way you play a little bit. Now, a couple things over here. The support board on the Alpine side, when you do this action, you can only have one of your commanders in the column. So either reinforce or plan. You can only ever do this action or that action, leaving the space available for the other player. This one allows you to take 6 of your unused reinforcements and put them out on the board in places you control and supply. That one would be 5. This allows you to draw these cards. Now, these cards allow you to do things during the game to take advantage of certain phases of the game. Now, the Alpine side has some, as well as the Pacific Theater has some. So there are some you'll play just in those specific theaters. Very quick, very simple worker placement area control game, plays very fast. The one other thing you can do, if you choose to go here, you can actually flip this over and you'll get a benefit if your side is face up throughout the rest of the game. So that is how you play General Orders. On the backside, by the way, you can reinforce airplanes as well. So General Orders, quick worker placement, area control, World War II game. All right, that's General Orders from Osprey Games. Now, Osprey is known for Undaunted, obviously. It's one of the greatest games of all time. But when I heard this, I got the email that said, hey, what about a worker placement, area control, quick 20-minute, 30-minute game? I was like, yeah, let's check that out. Now, what I love about this, first of all, the art on this board looks great. I love how simple it is, though. Like, it's just, the art is there, and the symbology is there in the sense that there's only like 4 or 5 symbols you need to know, and the ones that you don't know or the area bonuses are right here on this card. So everything is easy to understand quickly. The only tricky rule is the in supply and the actual air zones being connected to the land zones, all that sort of stuff. But the main crux of the game to me is super cool. Like, and here's what I love about this. Sure, I love the worker placement and how it's actually like moving troops, and it feels like you get a little bit of that Twilight Imperium Game of Thrones action, but also playing worker placement, you know, because I can choose to use my worker up here instead to get reinforcements or to get cards and things like that. So it's meant to force you into action. I also like the fight system that you don't actually sit there and roll dice over and over until someone dies. You have to calculate it out and go, okay, I can't win this if I go in there with less than them because they're already going to take me out. I have to overwhelm the enemy, which kind of is war, right? Now, here's what I'd love to see, and I don't know if it's coming or if it's possible because this is called General Orders World War II. What I would love to see, first of all, is General Orders World War I. Yes, that's a natural, obviously. Trench warfare, you could do some great stuff with that. But what I'd really love to see, Osprey, look, count me as a consultant if you want to. General Orders Cold War. Now, you do it not like Twilight Struggle in the sense, but instead of advancing to fight, you're advancing espionage. You're advancing, space race, stuff like that. I would love to see a version of this where it's a worker placement area control game about ideology or something like that in the Cold War. That'd be so cool. So, General Orders, World War II. This is an 8 for me. It's a really fantastic game. It's fast. It's easy to play. It's not super deep, so you get the rules out there. It's actually a great one to teach worker placement games to people who are mainly war gamers. So, if you got somebody who loves Twilight Struggle, but you only got 30 minutes, well, play General Orders, World War II. So, great game. Let's move on now to World Wonders. Boy, oh boy. World Wonders, Arcane Wonders. Hey, you don't think there's a connection there, do you? Let's take a look at this game, and we'll come back up, talk final thoughts, as we are typical to do here on a roundup. Now, what we have here is a completed game of World Wonders. Now, essentially, what you're going to be doing on your turn, you're going to be buying these tiles. Now, they will be based on this board here, which shows all the costs and kind of where the tiles sit. Now, certain sizes of tiles you won't have unless you're playing with more players, but you see these go here, these go here, these here, these here, these here. One tile of each shape will be available, as well as one long road and one set of two small roads and one short road. Now, lengthwise, they're actually longer to do the two short and one wide. Now, why do I bring that up? Anytime you build, this handy card right here tells you a road must be built next to another road, adjacent orthogonally, to the bottom sidewalk or pavement, it calls it, or to a tower. The other thing you can do is you can buy a tower. Now, on your turn, you can spend your money. Now, as this works, at the beginning of the round, you'll gain 7 gold. You'll take an action, they'll take an action, you'll take an action, they'll take an action. And then, each time you spend money, you'll drop it down. And we'll come to the Wonder last, because that's the most interesting one to me, because that's what all these giant ones out here are. We've got the Parthenon, we've got Petra, we've got Angkor Wat there, we've got Moai, the obelisks. So you've got all these different world wonders, and they look amazing. In fact, Machu Picchu, depending on how you pronounce it, it just looks so cool, right? But you can then buy a tower. Now, a tower essentially lets you extend your placement of roads out. So let's say you don't have a road next to something, because a road cannot just be built next to a building. It must be built next to a road, a pavement, or a tower. But a tower must be built next to something you own. So for 2 coins, you could build a tower next to something you own. Now, you may not have a road anywhere near there, which means you could then extend a new road from that tower. Next, you can place buildings down. Buildings must be adjacent to a road or a building of the same color. So these are green, and so is that. So even though they're not the same size or shape, they can be built adjacent to each other with that rule. The last thing you can do is buy a wonder. Now, when you buy a wonder, you spend the rest of your money that turn. And you think, well, would it make sense to spend 6 for a wonder? Not really. You probably need to wait till closer to the end of the turn, build towards the wonder you're going to buy, and then hopefully all 10 rounds you're going to be buying a wonder, because these wonders replace immediately. These tiles and roads and towers do not. Another thing you can do is pay a coin to go first next round. That will obviously give you more position. Now, when you buy a building, you're going to be getting the symbols on there. So that'd be 4 green. You'll move up this track here. Each time you pass one of the heads there, you move up on your civilization track. And the higher you are on that population track, the higher you are, you'll have a potential to get points at the end of the game. Also, if someone reaches this space before the end of the game, before the end of the 10 rounds, the game ends at the end of that round. You'll move up these tracks, and then you'll score. First, you'll score your populations, then you'll score your symbols here, and you will score the lowest set you have. So ours would be 11, because yes, we have 12 here, but our lowest is 11, so that's 11 points. You then score points on wonders. Each of them has a different set of points on there. You'll score points for each of these natural resources being adjacent to something you own, and then city districts that are completely closed in. So that would be something that has something around it besides green space on all sides of that play. So this one would give me a point. And that is how you play World Wonders. All right, World Wonders. First of all, what can I say? The game looks amazing. It's just a gorgeous looking game. I mean, the pieces look so good. I'm so glad they chose to go with the screen printed look on those meeple or the wonders. I love how chunky some of them are. Like the pyramids are huge. Machu Picchu looks amazing with the mountain in the background. Petra, it looks like you can almost see Indiana Jones right there. Except, I know the inside of Petra doesn't have an old knight in it, or does it? Do we know that? But just I love the way World Wonders looks on the table. Like I walked past it at a conference and was like, well, I have to play that. That looks amazing, right? But what I also love about it is the gameplay. The gameplay is so good, and the rules that are restricted of the movement actually make the game so much fun. So, forcing you to build roads and towers and things like that, and forcing you to go, okay, wait, I can spend just almost everything I have, and then boom, I'm going to buy the wonder. Or spending your turn building towards a wonder, only to have someone take that wonder out from under you, and you have to shift at the last second, is also really great. So, World Wonders is a fantastic looking game, but it's also a fantastic playing game. This is just such a well thought out game that is so well done, and I hope there's more to come from World Wonders, because my gosh, this is, well, you're going to see our top 10 for the year next week after this comes out, and you'll see where this ranked, or if it didn't rank, spoiler, it definitely ranked. We loved this game, loved it. So World Wonders, Arcane Wonders, get your hands on it. It is the, in my opinion, best polyomino laying game there is, because of the rules that are in place and how you're building your civilization out. It doesn't feel like you're building polyominoes. It feels like you're building a civilization. So to me, that's really great. And also, I love how when the buildings you build, they may not be advantageous for wonder, but they're advantageous for the symbols to bump up your symbol track. So to me, it really does feel like the quickest version of a civilization game, even though obviously you're just laying polyominoes and getting wonders. But there's something about it of, okay, well, my civilization is better at this than other people. So I really love this game. Can't say enough good things about it. This is a 9 for me. Absolutely love World Wonders from Arcane Wonders. Which brings us to our last game, Acquire. Now, yes, this is the old Avalon Hill game reprinted and then reprinted again by Renegade. Now, I had never played this, but I've always wanted to. I'd see it when they did the last, I think it was the Hasbro version a few years ago. I was like, man, I really want that game. And I just never got my hands on it. I could never pull the trigger. Well, finally, I got my copy of Acquire. This is the Renegade version. And my gosh, let's talk about how it plays. We'll come back up, talk final thoughts right now. All right, this is Acquire in media res. Now, basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to have these tiles with numbers and letters that will correspond to a grid out here. So 10C would go 10A, B, C right there. 10A would go here. What you're trying to do is build these hotel chains out. And then eventually, once they touch and connect, one hotel chain will take over another. And if you have stock in that company that got taken over, well, you can sell that stock, or you can choose to keep it and hope to reopen a new hotel with that same name. Now, you can buy stock on your turn as well. It costs based on this grid how big a hotel is and what you want to buy and how many shares you want to buy. And so you can spend a good bit of money, or you can spend a little bit and hope that eventually you can drive the stock price up on that company by building it out. Now, eventually, there's not going to be enough room for these smaller hotels because all the big spaces are going to be taken over. But let's just say 7C was to be put down. Well, the orange would then take over this blue, and now this is one giant conglomerate. The game will end when one hotel has a certain number of pieces, and then you will cash in your shares that you have at the end of the game for money, and the person with the most money wins the game. Now, at any point now, you can't sell stock, which is interesting. The only time you can sell stock for money is when a hotel gets taken over. So you might want to buy stock into a company that you know is going to get taken over, so that when those stocks vest, you'll be paid out. But that is how you play Acquire. So the game's got presence. Like when you walk past this, you go, oh, what is that? I want to know what that is, with those cool hotels, the little tiny orange flags that may or may not fall off on the blue hotel. But the game itself has a presence when you walk past it. And then, you know me, I'm a sucker for any game that allows you to buy stocks and sell stocks at an inflated rate and manipulate stocks and things like that. I love stock market type games, which is why I like 18xx games, even though I cannot get anyone in my groups to play them with me. So it's unfortunate, but I love them. But I love manipulating stock markets. I love that kind of thing in gaming. So I love the fact that you can, buy into a cheaper hotel only to build it up, knowing you're going to take over it with another hotel yourself just to get those points, that money out, so you can get a quick influx of cash. Like, there's so many little strategies. I love the randomness. You're taking the tiles and putting them on the grid, and if you just can get that one tile, maybe you need like E6 or G2 or whatever, and you're like, I got it, boom, and now it's this one giant conglomerate of hotels. You got Marriott on the board out there. I love that feeling. So this game is old, right? It's old, but this is the new edition of it. I've never played it. This is my first time ever playing Acquire, and I love this game. I think it's such a cool game. If you like stock market games, you're going to love this game. If you like just quick kind of, it brings you back to a time of simpler games, right? Like you know what you're doing, and it's easy to understand what you're doing. The hardest thing to do is figure out when to sell or when to buy stock or what to buy stock in. Like, that to me is such a cool decision. So if you haven't played Acquire, like I hadn't played Acquire, definitely go get your hands on Acquire. It is absolutely worth it. Love this game. Solid 8 from me. Really, 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 really good game. So that is Acquire, World Wonders, and General Orders World War II. 3 quick games in a roundup here from Bryan Drake. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, etc. at Dice Tower Bryan. Until next time, we'll see you.